He's very, very good friends with Comey, which is very bothersome. I can say that the people that have been hired are all Hillary Clinton supporters. Some of them worked for Hillary Clinton. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous if you want to know the truth from that standpoint.
This as the Senate Judiciary Committee is looking for answers from former Attorney General Loretta Lynch as they look into her involvement with the Hillary Clinton email investigation and how the campaign was handled. Joining me now, Gina Loudon, David DiPietro, and Jim Hansen. Jim, let me start with you. President Trump has a problem with the relationship, the friendship, also the hiring of a lot of Hillary Clinton supporters, but also these are people who plowed lots of money into Hillary Clinton's campaign. To the average person, it doesn't feel like they could be impartial.
I doubt they can be impartial. I don't think anyone is really impartial. You know, the problem Trump has is the Democrats and their deep state allies and the media propaganda organs have succeeded in turning what was a reasonable look at whether Russia tried to influence the election into an investigation of Trump and pretty much everybody he's ever met. They've ground Washington and his ability to govern into a complete halt. And that was their goal. It's succeeding, and it's bad for America.
So with that in mind, David, President Trump this week saying, hey, there are no tapes, and sounding a lot more conciliatory about the process in of itself, even as many reports circulate that he's any moment now, he's going to erupt like in a volcano and fire Mueller and everyone else. I mean, it feels like at least the White House is taking a different approach to this, not enabling their detractors much.
Charles, can you imagine if Mueller was best friends with Trump and playing golf at Mar-a-Lago, and it had a long relationship through employment and friendship, and he was investigating Trump, the outrage it would be there? The fact is that the basic standard of ethics for executive employees would not allow Mueller to actually have this investigation. There's specific ethical codes that require employees of the federal government, which Mueller is now an agent employee of the federal government, to avoid impartiality in the execution of any duty, in particular an investigation. So at this point, he has no choice but to disqualify himself from this case.
Well, David, what if he doesn't? Because we've heard this, and a lot of people brought up all the different statutes that cover this, and it's pretty obvious why they exist. You don't want this sort of appearance of impropriety or of unfairness. But it doesn't seem like Mueller's going to do this. So what happens if he doesn't, and he goes along with this, and they come to a conclusion that's not favorable for the White House?
Well, the two outcomes can happen. One, if he goes forward and the conclusion is against the White House, the investigation's tainted and it starts to lack value and credibility. If he clears the White House, then I guess everybody goes on back to business. So if this is going to truly be an independent investigation, he's a lawyer representing the United States population and people. And his loyalty and his duty of impartiality is right, tied with the U.S. people. He needs to fulfill that obligation. He shouldn't be on this case, and the Department of Justice, the deputy DOJ, should ask him to step down, plain and simple.
Gina, that has not happened yet. In the meantime, almost every day that Mueller adds someone to his legal team, it feels like, again, yet another Hillary Clinton acolyte, crony, or major donor.
You know, if I'm telling you the truth right now, Charles, I think Trump is pretty much unconcerned. I think he feigns a little concern. He points to how corrupt this whole thing looks to the American people. But that's exactly right, because while they're all distracted with Russia, he's talking about America. He's setting the stock market straight. He's making sure that we are winning 4-0 in these special elections now. He is going ahead with the Trump agenda that is winning for America. And as Kellyanne said the other night on Fox, while they're talking Russia, we're talking America. And I think that's exactly what the American people are witnessing. And that's why I don't think Trump is unconcerned. I think he's squeaky clean, Charles, and he's enjoying them being distracted so he can be down to business.
Jim, are you that sanguine about this? Because, again, I'm not sure what's going on within the White House itself, but I do know that this, every time the public changes to most of the mainstream media, they're hearing Russia, Trump in the same sentence, and they're banging away at him.
but they're finding nothing. And Charles, given the voluminous amount of leakage from everywhere, including Mueller's own office, which is probably where the first place he should investigate is, they still have managed to put nothing out there that hit Trump. Not even hit anybody close to him. Manafort, they've got little nibbles at. But bottom line is Trump has so far looked perfectly clean, like Gina said. And if they don't have anything on him, or if they do, they would have leaked it already. And if they haven't, they don't.
Well, 8 months and counting. Go ahead,
Charles,
Gina.
The irony is that I think most people, we all know Trump was an average citizen businessman out there. I think most people didn't expect him to be that clean. And I think even if they had found something, it probably wouldn't have affected his presidency. But the fact that he's so clean, I think that is just amazing to people when you consider that he has done business all over the world. He's a billionaire.
One thing, guys, that has come out of this, though, is the situation with Loretta Lynch. We've learned a lot of things, particularly with that Tarmac meeting, and also the way Comey was told how to handle the investigation, which was, of course, he was told to call it a matter. Even he seemed to be alarmed by that, David. And now it's official. There's a probe into this. How deep do you think we're just now opening up perhaps a Pandora's box for the Democratic Party with this?
Well, Loretta Lynch should have been investigated during the Obama administration, but the media was nowhere to be found. There was no articles. There was no nonstop coverage of this. Her investigation should have been a year ago, and the fact that it's finally happening is, well, thank God that's actually going forward for transparency in our government, regardless if it's Republican or Democrats. Everybody should be held to a high standard when they're administering our government for our citizens and our population. So I'm glad it's going forward. Otherwise, investigations would be only of conservatives and Republicans, right, and Democrats and liberals would get this wonderful pass. So if you're going to go in the government, register as a Democrat.
To a credit, Dianne Feinstein is one of the people behind this, Gina, because in plain sight, the FBI director is being told how to massage a message to the public during an election campaign. It just seems pretty obvious that was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, and Charles, this isn't partisan. That's not the issue. The issue is evidence-based. The Senate Judiciary is probing something where there is actual evidence of a possible crime. Contrast that, of course, with Mueller's investigation, where there is zero evidence. Okay. And I think the American people are looking at Trump's agenda and saying, let's get down to business for the American people.
Guys, I got to let you go. That was fantastic.